What is the trashiest thing you have ever witnessed? Friend of my roommate came over. Saw the computer duster bottle I use to legit clean my computers of dust. Excitedly says you do this too, and proceeds to huff a lungful of computer duster. Was not expecting that. I don't know how people can do that shit. Ever accidentally taste that stuff? It's so incredibly horrible tasting. I always wear gloves when I use it now. It tastes horrible, it's expensive, you get a 5 minutes high, and you can die from it instantly. Can vouch, I've gotten trace amounts of the residue from using that stuff to clean paper dust out of a machine at work. The can's at arm's length, I've got my mask on due to COVID. No way I'm getting more than a handful of particles in my mouth, but holy duck, is that shit potent. It lingers too. Ugh. I worked retail for a while. One day we had a lady bring in a bag of clothes to return. When she pulled them out and laid them on the counter, roaches scattered everywhere. She acted like nothing happened. How do people let themselves get to that point? Actually gross AF. Edit. Some reasons I get, such as mental illness or physical disability. I think the system has failed if people who can't look after themselves end up like this. But some people are just straight trashy and live in squalor when they could do better. Pest infestations can easily happen without it being due to any actions of your own. Filthy neighbors, and more commonly, shitty ducking landlords, especially those in charge of properties in poorer neighborhoods. Some just spread super easy, like bed bugs itching rides on clothing, or head lice in schools /etc. Once one person gets infested, you can get a full-blown bedbug infestation from a single female bedbug that's been inseminated coming in on your clothes and laying eggs. In the checkout line in Walmart, how many of these take place in a Walmart, and the woman in the line next to me was checking out. She had a toddler in her cart, maybe a year old or a little older. He was wearing a very sodden diaper. All of a sudden the kid just starts peeing again. That poor diaper couldn't soak up another drop and the new contents drained straight through the cart and onto the floor. It made an audible splashing sound. The woman never looked around or acknowledged the incident. She continued paying for her items and left the mess for someone else to clean up. I felt so bad for the kid. How many of these take place in a Walmart? About the same as the number of jokes that begin with a guy walks into a bar. I watched a family in front of me where the mom was struggling with 3 really ill-mannered children while trying to check out. Dad is just playing some BS game on his phone while she is overwhelmed and then asks for $20. While she finishes checking out, he immediately walks over to a scratch lotto ticket machine and blows all of it. Then comes back and asks for more before she has even realized what he did. I just instantly thought, that guy is trash. So she was actually dealing with 4 misbehaving children. That's an insult to children. Woman in Walmart spraying herself with Lysol in her armpits and down the front of her pants, then put the can back and drove off on her article. Walmart shoppers are a different breed. I seen Walmart workers in Florida laying on the floor stocking the bottom shelf. I can definitely imagine a less give a shit version of myself doing that. Sounds nice and cool, if a bit dirty. Back in the early 2000s I had a neighbor who was morbidly obese and would rarely leave his couch due to his condition. He also had 2 snotty little kids who liked to misbehave and trash the house. Every morning before his wife would leave for work, she'd gather up all the shoes in the house and dump them in a giant pile next to the couch. Whenever the kids would misbehave during the day, rather than getting up off his ass to discipline them, he'd simply wing a shoe at them from across the room. By the end of the day, the pile would be depleted. Last I heard, both those kids are doing stints in prison. If you can dodge a shoe, you can dodge a shiv. Dad was just preparing them for life. My first grade teacher yelled at literally everyone for no damn reason and made us, a bunch of 6 to 7 year olds, cry all the time. There was one incident involving a new student. I think it was her 3rd or 4th day here, and she was pretty shy, not really talking to anyone, and less talk to and all around just being pretty quiet. Then, my teacher announced that we would be doing one of those show and tell things, and she suddenly got super excited. The next day we all brought in our stuff, stuffed animals, toy cars, etc. when she suddenly pulls out an opal gemstone. I doubt anyone, except her, knew what a gemstone was, so we were all in awe and asking a lot of questions, and she just lit up happily and answered all of them with full confidence. I was feeling pretty happy and glad to see the new kids so happy and getting more comfortable within our class. At the end of her presentation, my stupid ass teacher stands up, clears her throat and calmly states, "Kid's name, an opal, as you call it, is just a stupid rock that is clearly fake. I know what rocks look like, and you clearly must have painted it or something to make an ordinary rock look like that. Gemstones don't exist, and it was very stupid for you to bring one." Her dumbass then rambles on and even starts making fun of her, and I felt so furious. She even started crying. Serious Mrs. C. You made a 6-year-old kid who you don't even know yet cry over a gemstone? She was such horrible teacher, and I hope she got fired. I want to harass this teacher. A group of people I used to work with went out bar hopping. The one closest to management level had to pee. She couldn't wait the 20 yards to the next bar, found an unlocked car, pulled up her miniskirt, and peed in the passenger seat. This is why you lock your car. Among many other reasons. My ex asked me for rent money when I was off his lease, and then promptly got daddy tattooed on his chest about a week after that. My cousins and I went to a random girl's quince, a 15-year-old's birthday, and the girl's mom was so drunk. She was on the floor with her ass hanging out, literally her pants were below her ass cheeks, trying to be sexy. The poor girl was standing there with the face of embarrassment begging her to get up. Sad and trashy. Sounds like an alcoholic. Definition sad, but that woman needs help, poor kids. Walking home late on a Saturday night in a town center, turned a corner and there was a guy doing a girl doggy style over a wall, while her friend was sat next to her puking all over herself. Quite literally trash. I work at a Target and I have to say, people will literally throw trash onto the ground because walking 100 feet to the nearest trash can is too inconvenient. I have found everything from fast food to masks to even used baby diapers. One time when I was a stupid kid, I was finished with a cup of soda. I went to throw it out of my car window like an asshole, with the straw and lid facing inside. When I threw it, the force of ice busted the lid off, and I had ice soda everywhere in my car. Learned a lot that day. I was at the self-checkout at Home Depot buying a couple plants. Heard something hit the ground behind me, sounded glassy. Turned around and looked down. Dude had dropped his meth pipe and it shattered. He continued checking out and left it there. You know those drop-off bins where you can leave clothes and household items to be donated to homeless people? A girl I went to college with would throw her trash in those things just because she thought it was funny. There's literally a trash bin right next to it, but she threw her trash in the donations anyway. She would also talk about it with pride, as if it was the most hilarious prank of all time. I knew a girl who used to prank call helplines. Completely changed how I saw her. I work in crisis mental health and some of my job involves answering helplines. The amount of prank calls we get would surprise most people. 2014. First time in LA, not from the US, and was walking through a back street back to the bus stop with my partner. Walked past a parked car and had two people in the front seat smelting heroin in a spoon with their young daughter in the back seat. I was absolutely shocked to the point of speechlessness. I don't know if it's trashy or just sad, but it's what came to mind. It's both trashy and sad. Also, child abuse. Saw a fellow soldier sniff the seat of a female lieutenant's bicycle seat once. Does that count? Knew a guy who bragged about doing coke while visiting Auschwitz. Like he talked about it like it was some badass accomplishment and would bring it up anytime someone talked about traveling. I'm going to Jersey to visit my grandma. That ain't nothing cause I've done blow at Auschwitz. There's a TLDR at the end of this one, so as not to spoil the weird outcome. I was in band for a lot of my youth and there were parties at the practice space periodically. It was usually just friends hanging out, but sometimes there were people who were friends of a friend that we didn't know. On one such occasion was this trashy girl wearing semi-goth schoolgirl gear, but it was about 2 sizes too small, randomly just talking about sucking dung. It was odd, and she kept bringing it up out of nowhere, and most of us were kind of weirded out. I'm the big mouth of the group, so at one point she does this spiel again, and I ask her, "You've been talking about that a lot, what's the deal? You don't really know any of us." She flipped out. But not in the way you'd think. "What are you saying? Are you saying I won't suck dung?" She yelled at me, but basically every piece of her rant was about how much dung she could and would suck at a moment's notice. She basically acted like it was a stain on her honor to suggest she was remotely unready to blow anybody at any moment. She actually said, "I'll suck every rick in here right now," waving a finger around. Many of us were there with girlfriends, so it was pretty awkward. This was not the trashiest behavior she exhibited, but it put most people off, except the 2 guys she came with. Fast forward a bit. Me and the band play a set. Afterward I run out to the car, and when I come back, the 2 guys she came with have left, and that girl is still in our practice space, but just randomly undressed down to her bra and underwear. To the best of my knowledge, no one cares to let this weird girl know one new make good on her threats. But she just hung out the rest of the night, perfectly normal and no longer ranting about sucking dung, but seemingly completely unaware that she somehow became undressed. TLDR, weird chick came to my band space and went on a rant about dung sucking, then spent the rest of the night hanging out undressed, but otherwise totally normal. While visiting Florida, my girlfriend and I went to the local Walmart. On our way out we saw a hot pink party bus pull up and an entire wedding party exit. They then proceeded to have the wedding ceremony in front of the store. This is my favorite of the Walmart stores in this thread. Lady held up the drive-through line at McDonald's for about 30 minutes over some dispute, refusing to move her car. She was screaming at them, recording them, calling them retarded, every name under the sun. She had a car full of kids too, of course. When the employees finally got her order right to her specifications and handed her the food, she threw the drinks at them and literally emptied the bag on the ground and drove off. It was a big bag, and I'm guessing with the first order and remake taken into account, probably $60 of McDonald's. Lots of food. Meanwhile, I was homeless and was waiting for the person behind them in line to buy me some food. I gave them money, but the inside was closed and I couldn't go through the drive-thru with no car. I hate seeing people be mean to others out of spite. My time to shine. I worked retail for an ungodly number of years, and then as a drive examiner for the DMV for that and some change. Certainly not all, but some. Retail. Woman who pulled my coworker's hair to see if it was real. Same woman went to dump out her purse to look for something on 2 individual occasions, and a roach and an empty condom wrapper fell out. She asked me to get rid of both. Older dude who would go through my line with his wife and then hours later alone with a porno mag and lingerie while making uncomfortable eye contact. Mr. Waxed Handlebar Mustache Man, if you're out there, duck you. Sheer number of people who would return used items containing used lipstick, condoms, and syringes. DMV. Entire interior of the vehicle held together with duct tape. Actually impressive, it was pretty neatly done. McDonald's and other food wrappers over every square inch of the car. How the hell do you drive like that? Sheer number of naked lady calendars stuck to the dashboards of semi-trucks. I don't mind, but come on, dude. One that I'm like 97% certain housed a lovely family of mice. Nearly every party bus I examined, seriously, one had jet skis strapped in as seats. and not well. If you're going to rent one, go for it, but get a tetanus shot, take a shower after, and for all that's holy, don't lick anything including the bus driver. A new friend invited me to come with her and her parents to their cabin for a long weekend when I was around 14. Her mom was in the passenger seat in front of me eating sunflower seeds and picking the shells out of her mouth and throwing them out the window one by one. It was gross to watch, but it wasn't exactly littering, so whatever, I guess, although we were on a highway so having a window down wasn't comfortable on the ears. Then she finishes her snack and throws the empty bag out the window. No one in the car has any reaction, so I sat there alone in horror over how casually this grown woman lit it out of her car. And that was only the start of a 5-hour car ride where the entire family would roll down their window to throw out literally every single piece of trash they had during the trip. Snack bags, napkins, gum wrappers, you name it. Ever heard of a trash bag that you use until you stop at a gas station? I used a tissue and stuck it back in my pocket at one point, and my friend goes, "Dude, that's dirty, throw it out," followed by what seemed to be a long silence with everyone waiting for me to toss it out. I regret doing it, but 14-year-old me was not about to get all righteous toward a family that I was going to be with for the next 3 days. That entire family had a lot of trashy habits that really just made me feel gross being associated with them. I wasn't friends with that girl much longer after that weekend, lol. So yeah, quite literally the trashiest thing I've witnessed. I don't know if it's trashy or just pathetic, but someone who caught her boyfriend abusing her kid, threw him out, but then let him move back in with the kid because the cable was in his main. Somebody being fingered vigorously on a bus during morning rush hour in full view of everyone, including children. The lucky lady got very verbally abusive when they were asked to stop and stood in the aisle with her filthy knickers round her ankles shouting at everyone and saying we were dirty duckers for watching as her boyfriend, or willing stranger, rolled a joint and threatened to beat everyone up for looking. I didn't immediately see what was going on, but I could definitely smell something. Did I mention she was in her 50s?